Okay, so what if I told you that the best financial advice for a college student just trying to make rent and the core wisdom of a 94-year-old billionaire was exactly the same? I know, it sounds kind of impossible, right? But today, we're going to dive into this really surprising overlap between two worlds that couldn't seem more different.
So on one side, you've got this guide called Money Matters. It's literally for students on how to get through college with, and I'm quoting here, some change left in your pocket. You know, pure survival mode. And then on the other side, you've got the world of Warren Buffett, the Oracle of Omaha, a guy who has spent decades at the helm of a massive global financial empire.
So the big question is, what on earth could bridge that massive gap between a dorm room and a boardroom? What truths about money are that universal? Well, it turns out there are quite a few, and they all kick off with the most fundamental rule in the book. All right, let's get into it. Our first principle. This one is a biggie. It's a total mindset shift in how you look at money. And it doesn't matter if you're dealing with a couple $100 or, hundreds of billions. So get this quote. It comes from a guy who could buy literally anything he wants on the planet. And yet his whole philosophy is built on discipline, not just going wild with spending. I mean, he's famous for living in the same house he bought back in 1958. His point is so powerful. Real wealth is built on habits. It's not just about how much you earn. The golden rule, you always pay your future self first.
And here's how that big idea actually plays out in the real world. That student guide, it says the #1 first step is to get super clear on your priorities. You got to separate your absolute needs, the stuff that keeps you fed, housed, and in school from your wants. It sounds so simple, right? But be honest, how many of us actually stop and do that?
And this is where Buffett's big picture wisdom turns into a simple, practical plan. Step 1, figure out what money's coming in. Step 2, cover your non-negotiables first. And only then do you decide what to do with what's left over. See, it's not about being restrictive. It's about being in control.
Okay, so once you've got the saving habit down, the next lesson is all about your mindset. Look, we live in a world that wants everything instantly, right? But both our sources agree on this. The real financial superpower is patience. Buffett, for instance, built his entire fortune by playing the long game. He wasn't out there chasing quick stock flips or freaking out over every daily headline. No, he was buying pieces of businesses that he genuinely believed in for the long haul. He acted like an owner, not a gambler.
And this isn't just some American idea. This quote nails it perfectly. Algorithms can win in milliseconds, but real corporate value takes years to accumulate. Think about that. In our age of high-speed trading and just constant noise, this idea of patience, of just letting value grow and compound over time, it's more crucial than ever before.
In the student guide, it brings this whole concept right back down to earth. Because let's be real, for most of us, the goal isn't to become a day trader or launch some huge startup. It's to get to a place of peace of mind, to build a financially stress-free life. And that, my friends, is always a long-term game.
So this whole long-term thinking thing leads us right into our third big idea. Because life happens. The car breaks down, a medical emergency pops up, stuff happens. And both our sources are really clear on this. A solid financial plan isn't just when things are going great. It's for weathering the storms that are, let's face it, gonna come. This is probably one of Warren Buffett's most famous quotes ever. What's he really saying here? Well, it's easy to look like you've got it all together when the economy is booming. But when that downturn comes, when the tide goes out, that's when you see who had a real plan and who was just, swimming naked and getting by on pure luck.
And that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's one thing to hear this great piece of wisdom, but it's another thing entirely to know what to do about it. So, how do you make sure you're not the one caught unprepared when that tide goes out? This is where that student guide gets super practical. We're not talking about complex financial instruments here. We're talking about building a safety net. It means knowing exactly who you're going to call for help. It means understanding what emergency loans or grants are out there. And it means finding those community resources before you're in a crisis. That right there is what preparing for low tide looks like in the real world. But what's the point of all this? Our final principle kind of zooms out to the big picture, because both sources ultimately land on the same conclusion. Money isn't the goal. It's just a tool. And the true measure of a rich life, well, it goes way beyond your bank statement.
Now, what's so cool about this is how it really grounds Warren Buffett's story. In his own letters, he talks about the incredible luck of just who was around him. His future business partner, Charlie Munger, lived a block away.
A future director of his company lived 5 blocks away. The future president of Coca-Cola lived right across the street. His incredible success story is just woven into the fabric of his community and his relationships.
And really, this is the ultimate payoff. This is Buffett's definition of what it means to be truly successful. It's got nothing to do with stock market returns or your net worth. When all is said and done, the final scorecard, in his mind, is all about the quality of the relationships you've built.
And you can see this philosophy pop up in his super practical advice about leaving a legacy. He tells people, be open with your family about your wishes. He says to give your kids enough money so they can do anything, but not so much that they do nothing. Make sure they get the why behind it all. It all comes down to communication and trust, not just a pile of assets. Which brings us to a pretty profound truth, when you think about it. According to Buffett, the very foundation of a truly wealthy life is something that literally anyone can afford. It's the simple idea that works just as well for a student trying to budget for textbooks as it does for an investor managing a fortune. And so we're going to end with this powerful challenge from Buffett. He tells the story about Alfred Nobel, the guy who created the Nobel Prize. Apparently, Nobel read his own obituary by mistake. It was published early, and he was absolutely horrified by what it said. It totally changed him. So Buffett's final lesson here, it's not really about finance, is it? It's a question for every single one of us. What story do you want your life to tell? And when you get right down to it, financial planning is just one of the tools you have to help you write that story.